Excellent. Now all your lovely faces are being on camera and recorded. So just a quick intro of what the tech will look like today, and then I'll throw it over to Lane to begin this session. Very excited to have each of your experiences and interests and engagement here today. So first and foremost, Lane is the facilitator and I will be the tech, but I will also be facilitating one of the two breakout rooms as we chat about these great questions, which are both in the chat. So thank you, everyone. We are going to start right away, and I really appreciate all of you being here. Lane, I'll throw it to you.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. I am part of the new task force with Chris Miller, who's our leader. If you don't know about District 5170, it has more interactors than Rotarians, or it did when I was governor. And it's a unique district and a perfect one to be the leader of our task force as we move forward with youth services. For those just joining us, I'm your facilitator. I'm a past district governor. I'm a past youth services chair before and after my governorship. And I've been an Interact district chair, and also had the unique opportunity of, for Zone 26, rolling out the Fifth Avenue of service of all the youth programs to all the districts about 10 years ago. So, and the one thing I'd like to share that worked really well in our area was the concept of the three governors. And that is an Interact governor, the Rotary governor, and the Rotaract governor working together as a team. Just the way we do continuity with the governors, we have the three key governors of our three programs that make up Rotary. So let's go across, and if I can have maybe Dan, who's going to be recording, tell you who he is.
So I'm the current district governor nominee in 5320, and I was the youth chair for the last 2 years. And joining us today is also Mike McDonough, who's our current youth chair. And I'm part of the Fullerton Rotary Club, and I've been involved with youth programs since joining Rotary in 2007.
Incredible. Thank you, Dan. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to filter you into the breakout rooms. So it'll be a little bit smaller group to have a stronger conversation.
Well, we're going to keep going, Tech. I want to hear from each of these people quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to let you all know that's what will be happening shortly. Just get prepared. But yes, welcome all. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mike McDonough, you were just introduced. You want to tell a little bit more about us and what do you think is your best practice?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Mike McDonough, District 5320. I'm also part of the Newport Balboa Club, so welcome, everybody. Glad you could all make it this morning. This is, very important to both zones and our district and all the youth within, Rotary and so forth. So due to the COVID-19, unfortunately, there's some setbacks and so forth. However, collectively, we're trying to still keep the momentum going and look for new ways to not only increase membership, but also coordinate, interact with Rotaract. And because I look at Interact and Rotaract as a farm system for Rotarians. So
thank you. Linda Bauer.
Good morning. I'm District Governor nominee from 5080. I'm in the southeast corner of Washington, DGN, and I've not had a big role in youth services, so I'm on this workshop to just learn and absorb. And our best practice, we've added our youth service chair and subcommittee chairs to our district council, so they are at the table when we meet twice a year and go through what's happening in 5080 and what policies we want to put in place.
Okay, this is being recorded and Dan is taking notes as well, which will be available. Wendy LaCroix. Unmute yourself, Wendy, or we'll go to someone else while you do. Shab.
Good morning. My name is Shab Alawar. I'm a past district governor of District 5330. I'm serving in District 5300 right now. And early in the game in April, we decided that the Rotary Act are not participating. So we formed Rotary Act for Peace. And that group grew up to over 1,500 people. They put on their own peace conference. And also I helped with the Ukraine RILA, which has over 750 entries and was international RILA. So connecting, the issue is how can we connect the youth and the Rotarians to maximize the energy and the wisdom. And it was great because out of those groups, right now there are over 15 other groups that they have their own platform on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and also on Telegram.
Thank you. Bill Crow. Unmute yourself, Bill. While he's unmuting, Tom Gross.
Hi. So I don't know which session I was trying to get into a youth exchange, and I'm not getting anything to come up.
Maybe Ben can help you. I don't know if you can do it on the side, but Bill Crow, you're back. Tell us who you are and what your best practice is.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong session too. The link to the youth services marketing was not active, no one there. So I came back to see if I could get some help getting in.
I'm with you.
Well, I don't know if Ben can do it while we're talking, but Annalise, our Interact governor for our district, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Annalisa Salvato. I'm a senior at Esperanza and I run the Interact Club there. And I'm also the Interact District Youth Governor for District 53020.
Thank you. Okay, if we can have Mark Ahrens.
Yeah, I'm a immediate past district governor for 5320, and I wanted to hear some new ideas that, as you can tell, we have some great Rotarians at 5320 with a lot of things going on, but I wanted to hear from other districts of what else is going on in other districts with youth exchange and youth.
Bobby Hernandez.
Hi, Barbie Hernandez. I'm from Rotary Club of Ignacio, District 5150, past president and past youth chair for our club for several years and Interact advisor. So learning about my district role, still learning.
Brenda Patton. You're muted.
Brenda Patton from District 5110. I've been involved in our Rotary Youth programs at the district level for about a little over 10 years now. Finding that our young Rotarians are finding their voice and wanting to find a way of guiding them into the mainstream so that we can make the kinds of changes we need to make now that we have an opportunity in our world with the kinds of changes that are going on.
Thank you, Brenda. Candace Lansbury. You're unmuted, but we don't hear you. While you work on that, Donielle? Donielle? I don't know if she's hearing me. Let's see, Michelle Weber. Okay, anybody else not called on other than Jarita who may want to say a word before we go to our breakouts?
Lee has something to say.
Ah, Lee. I thought
Yes.
you were running
Good
another.
morning from the Bay Area in California. Not so sunny, very smoky and very hot. I'm Lee Denlinger from District 5170. And since 2006, I've been involved with Interact and RILA and youth exchange programs and so forth. And I guess my claim to fame as a Rotarian, if you will, is I authored the legislation that created the Fifth Avenue Youth Service in 2010.
Okay, Dan Converse, tell us who you are and one best practice, and we'll be going to breakout after Jarita says a word.
Dan, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm actually supposed to be hosting another session, I believe, and I cannot open it. It won't let the host thing come in. So I'm supposed to be doing youth exchange, and this is different, right?
This is district leadership working with Interact.
That's what I thought. And I'm supposed to be on the youth exchange track. So I just need to figure out how to get there.
Scott can help you.
All right, thank you.
Ben's going to break us into two groups. And again, the two questions should be.
Lane?
Yes, Ben. Oh, Jarita?
Lane, this is Bob Kelly. I'm just.
Oh, hi, Bob.
I just didn't get called on, so I just wanted to let you know I'm here. Hi. And I'm here today assisting both Elise and Elise and Mike Madanu for my district, 5320 Newport Balboa. So I've opened up a couple of Interact clubs in my area and assisted them with doing things with our community. So that's all. Just wanted to let you know.
Okay. Jarita, did you want to say anything before we go to breakouts?
Let's go to breakouts.
Okay. Try to keep, we have a lot from our district, Ben, so try to take them between the two. And then also put Dan in mind. I'll do one, you do two.
Excellent. So what's going to happen?
20 minutes and then come back.
Yep, great. So only 8 of you are actually physically going to a breakout room. The rest of you will stay here with me in the second breakout room, if that makes sense. So the 8 of you, you will see a thing that says go join breakout room, which is the one hosted by Lane and with Dan taking notes. So enjoy the breakout room for the next 20 minutes. I will then bring back those 8 so we can come together and talk about all the great things we learned. I just reposted the questions in the chat, so this should be the most recent thing, so you can see as we lead our discussion today. Thank you all for being here. Great to meet each of you, and let's do this. Great, so Brenda, if you can hear me, you're the only one that is already assigned to another room. Great. Okay, so the ones that are in here are the ones just for this room. So hopefully I did that correctly. Great to meet you all. Happy you all are here. So I'm going to help be facilitating the conversation for Q1 and Q2. I would love if one of you could be the recorder and basically just take notes that's being discussed here. Do any of you feel comfortable doing that role? I'm going to throw it to Annalisa because I know she's an Interact president. So Annalisa, can you help us with that? Thank you. So we're just going to have a conversation here on best practices amongst your districts on how to best integrate with Interact, the purpose of this session today. Again, our 2 questions are, how do we include Interact in our district events and projects? And the second question is, what is your district youth structure that parallels the Rotary District youth structure? And how often do you gather the Interact presidents? So this is an open forum just for us to chat and share your best practices. I'll have Annalisa take notes and she can type that in the chat, which is being automatically recorded. And then in 20 minutes, the other 8 people will come back and we'll have a full reporting structure amongst all of us for best practices and ways to best connect with Interact. Yeah, go for it. It's totally open, just full conversation. Yeah, Lee, you can start. Go for it.
Okay, I'll kick it off.
Great.
So for quite a while, I was involved with a particular Interact club at James Logan High School in Union City. And I belonged to the Rotary Club there. And I would go to their meetings and, you know, support their community activities. And then I thought, you know, this is really, there's something missing here. and they would come to our Rotary Club and ask for money, and it was very piecemeal. So when I became the club president, I thought, well, why don't we formalize this relationship? And so I talked to our board and our members of the Rotary Club, and we changed our bylaws in order to make the our Interact Club representative and Rotaract Club representative as ex officio members of our board of directors at the Rotary Club. So now we have them attending our meetings, and then of course we are attending their meetings. And we developed our budgets together. So we knew what was coming up for the year, and we outlined the program that was attached to the budget and so forth and the activities. And it was amazingly successful. It was like we just extended our Rotary family. And I want to tell you, the Rotaractors, many of them then joined our club as Rotarians later on. So, you know, it was very effective. So there's an idea for you.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Any other, I guess we're still sort of in the question one of how we use Interact in your districts. So any other thoughts, but thank you for starting us, Lee. I really appreciate it. Bob or Wendy or Naomi or Mike, any other thoughts that you have in line with this question? And if you prefer to type it in the chat instead of physically speaking, absolutely fine as well.
As far as engaging with Interact and the Rotary clubs, moving forward, we don't know what that looks like yet. So we're trying to figure out ways that we can, whether we have to do it virtually or if we can do it in person with proper distancing and so forth. But I think that it's really good to have interactors involved in Rotary projects, because it starts teaching the young what it is to give back, depending on what that project is, getting involvement, and also being around, different, demographics as far as age groups, because we have older Rotarians, younger Rotarians, we have different professional Rotarians. And so it really gives a really good opportunity for interactors to see at a young age what the opportunities are moving forward as they finish up high school, get into college, during college, and once they graduate. So it's just really a real eye-opener for interactors to, allow them the opportunities to grow and to see what it is to be part of a community like Rotary, and just how we're, all connected internationally. And so, but moving forward, I don't know if we can do that on a virtual, but that's what we're trying to work as a district, as far as what we can do collectively with the clubs. And so that's why our Interact district governor for our district, she's trying to connect with all the presidents of the Interact, which we're going to coordinate with our Rotaract, and then the two combined will then connect it to the Rotary. So we're just trying to connect all the dots, so to speak.
Excellent. Yeah, Lee, if you want to jump in again, that'd be great.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I was just looking at the questions. I'm sorry, I had the chat before. Okay, in terms of how do we parallel the structure of Rotary in our district? Well, first of all, we have over 6,000 interactors in our district. We're the largest in the world. So how do we manage that? Well, we have it divided. Our whole district is divided into Interact areas. We have 9 Interact areas, and each area then elects a representative of that area that works with the schools in that particular area. And then they come together for a district council once a month in order to coordinate district-wide activities, report out what's happening in their clubs, and so forth. And so that's been very effective. In terms of leadership, we have a fall leadership conference for presidents, vice presidents of Interact clubs in the schools. And that's heavily supported by the respective Rotary clubs. And they come together, and in addition to a lot of bonding activities, they also get to develop joint programs with their counterparts in other areas in the district. And of course, we have a huge spring conference, and then a very dynamic RILA club that lasts for a week. So there's some of the things that we do.
Hey, Bob Kelly, what do you see as far, because you started 3 Interact clubs in our club, and with everything going on and, you know, your background in education and so forth, what are some ideas you think that as far as moving forward is coordinating Interact with Rotary?
Thanks, Mike. You give me more credit than I deserve, though. I've only started 2 Interact clubs. Thought about doing a 3rd one, did not get around to it before COVID hit. But we, you know, the things that you mentioned already in terms of integrating our interactors and inviting them to participate with us as Rotary and our various activities that we do and assisting our local nature center, working with kids at 2 schools that we support, helping us with our helping to celebrate the veterans on Veterans Day and so forth. Our challenge is going to be how are we going to proceed with COVID now, because this is going to be with us for a while, and that's going to be our challenge, both at the schools, because the schools are limiting outside visitors such as ourselves, and also at our various activities that we hopefully will be able to be involved with, but we really don't know. So we're in for a challenge this coming year. That's it.
An important point. Thank you for sharing. John, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share? If you're comfortable speaking, if not, you're happy to type it out. Okay, well, I guess I'll switch it to, looks like Wendy's frozen. So Donil, I'm sorry if that's not your first name, but that's your name on Zoom. Would you like to say something? No. Okay, Annalisa, I think you have a really great perspective here. If you don't mind sharing, I think that would be lovely.
Sure, I would love to share. Can everybody hear me? Is my microphone working? Okay.
Absolutely.
I think something that's really important is getting the information out there. Because, for example, when I started my Interact Club at my school, I wasn't really sure like what Rotary was or what Rotaract was. So I think having like more of a connection between the local Rotary clubs in each like city with the Interact clubs will help foster a better connection and help guide the students more down that path of like Interact to Rotaract to Rotary. And I think one easy way we can do that is having Rotary members come to Interact clubs and like introduce themselves and talk about what they do and what Rotary is all about, and then just getting more information out there about how interactors can participate in Rotary.
Let's focus on that question real quick. I think that's an excellent point, Annalisa. From your roles in your district clubs, engagement with Rotary, how can you help answer Annalisa's question? How can you get that word out there and share? Is there a resource list you can create or a quick flyer to do, or let's brainstorm? What are some good ideas there?
So as district governor, what I'm currently trying to work on is connecting every single club that I like oversee. So I'm working on getting a full list of like all of the presidents, all of the like board members, basically just getting all of that information and putting it all together so that way we can communicate more easily across clubs. And from there, I was thinking of creating like a separate, like maybe like a link on Rotary's website to Interact Club's website, just as a like step-by-step guide for interactors on how to like start a club, what clubs are all about, and from there have that information be there for what Rotary is about and how they can help them. So right now what I'm working on for that is getting everybody connected so I can start that project of getting that information out there and getting everybody more connected in order to help more interactors know what Rotary is and know how to be more involved.
Yeah, and thank you, Annalisa. That's all great stuff. And you and I have spoken, and you have a lot of passion for this. And so we're trying to coordinate and get you the information you need. But one of the things that I've come up with, and I've mentioned to Dan, and it hasn't been voted on by the district in our district, but I came up with that a lot of interactors, they go to RILA in their 11th grade, and then the next year they graduate and then they're gone. So I came up with an idea that we consider starting in 10th grade for RILA. And in that 10th grade year, the students, will attend a couple of Rotary clubs. They'll go to a few community events, depending on how COVID and so forth. If it was a perfect world pre-COVID, that's what we do. So moving forward, we still can have this idea and see how it works out. But I really think that the young kids need to really understand what Rotary is about, not just coming in your 11th grade. Yes, you have an ambition to be a leader and so forth, and going to a camp for 3 days and have a great weekend meeting your peers and learning new skills and coming out of your shell. I think if they go to RILA a little bit more prepared and understanding what Rotary is, then after they've completed RILA, now to me, now they've had a complete experience, so to speak, almost 2 years. So then in their senior year, they can go back and be the alumni, but then Rotary, we keep in contact with those seniors so that depending on what schools they go to in college, depending on what location or school they go to, now we're introducing them and finding the closest Rotaract club within that geographical area of the school they're going to. So in other words, we continue with the process for those that want to stay engaged in Rotary.
Especially with the Reconnect Week. That's a wonderful, wonderful way to sort of merge those two things together. Thank you for sharing that. Bob, you unmuted. Any thoughts you want to add?
Yes, to piggyback on what Mike said, one of our Interact clubs at one of our high schools got started with a core group that had just come back from, if you remember this, Mike, had just come back from RILA. And there was about 10 or 11 of them.
Yep.
And we invited them all and we had dinner with them and everything. And then they said that towards the end of the dinner, we want to get our Rotary Club started on this campus, and we will be the core members. And they didn't waste any time. They went right in and started their Interact Club as juniors and continued on as seniors. And it was really dynamic to see them and to give them a vehicle by which they could continue their leadership skills. That's it.
Excellent point. No, I appreciate you sharing that. There's been some other ones in the chat. I mean, I know, Michelle, I don't know if you're able to see or hear us, but you have been here, Mac. If you want to share your opinions or thoughts, for those who haven't quite shared yet, we'd love to hear that on this whole discussion on the interacting connection, strengthening the partnership between Rotary and districts and Interact and all that greatness. Any other new perspectives that we have? Michelle or Mac or John? If you'd like to share, you're more than welcome to. If not, you can just type in the chat. I just want to make sure we have all voices accounted for.
I'm sorry, what's that, Ben?
Oh, there's 2 Macs in here. Sorry, you're great. No, I mean, if you want to share more thoughts, go for it. I just want to try to get all the voices possible that's in this session right now. So if Doniel, sorry, I'm not sure your first name, but if you'd like to say anything, you're more than welcome to. And if not, no worries. Absolutely fine. We're happy to have all your thoughts here to figure out best next steps. Yeah, and Elisa, there's been a lot of really great ideas from Bob Lee and Mac thrown your way. Anything you want to respond in your role as an Interact district governor and how it can be implemented?
Sorry, can you say that again? It kind of cut out.
No problem. There's been a lot of really great ideas from Bob, from Lee, from Mac, and others on how to help this partnership with Interact. Anything that in your specific role you can see that would work well, or another idea to explore?
I really like the idea of starting RILA earlier. I think by the time the students finish it in 11th grade, they only have 1 more year left. So I think starting that whole process earlier in 10th grade would just be so much better for them to meet other people, get their leadership skills going, and just have more time to work on their projects in high school so that they can fully develop their leadership skills as they go into college. So I really like that idea, starting RILA earlier. And also one thing I wanted to add in was I also like the idea for possibly, like, especially for this year, because I was a junior this past year and I didn't get to attend RILA because of COVID. So like maybe making an exception this year for having seniors that didn't get to do it this past year, but were on track to do it, be able to go this year as well.
Excellent point. Yeah, I hope that is possible because especially as an Interact district governor, we'd love for you to be able to provide that as well.
Yeah.
It's a great place to amplify your leadership. Yeah, go for it, Matt.
Yeah, Annalise and I did discuss that, and I agree with her as far as logistics with COVID, things like that. Now, Annalise, you stepping up and accepting the position of district governor, we will certainly do our best to make sure that you're attending RILA, if RILA in fact does happen in April 2021. So yeah, it would be up for discussion to go back and find all those students that are, and because all that online, not going to school, there hasn't been a lot of interaction. They haven't been able to meet. I'm sure that some of them have, the passion has maybe slipped back a little bit. So I don't know how if we had a list of the students that were approved to go last year and we went back, but then we have to coordinate with the school advisors and so forth. So it may be a little challenging. I like the idea, but we want to look at and see if it makes sense to spend the time to go back and do that, because we're looking at the children coming in this year and also last year. But yes, I think that some of those, if they wanted to go, if we can make an exception, I think it might be a good idea.
Ben, this is John from
Excellent.
District 5110. I finally figured out the audio.
Yay, great.
In 5110, we invite sophomores in a typical year. This year, we're re-inviting the sophomores from this year to be a part of RILA. So we're inviting sophomores and juniors this year. And then when we go to a normal year, whatever that's going to look like, we'll go back to just inviting our sophomores. And that's worked pretty well for District 5110 over the years.
That's awesome, John. That's awesome. Great. It's like having a good vision, and just to make sure that, we're considering the youth. And so that's awesome. You guys do that.
So happy your audio worked. What a great perspective to share. Thank you so much, John. So the other room has about 1 minute left, so they'll come back here and we can share ideas together. So any wrap up thoughts that we want to share as we finish this breakout session?
Annalisa, do you want to share with the group some of the ideas we talked about, some of the things, the projects you were thinking about doing with the interactors? Group projects?
So I kind of briefly talked about how I wanted to connect all of these Interact clubs, but I think another thing that Mike and I talked about was from there, having a bigger outreach with creating bigger projects across clubs. Like one thing we were thinking of is like, if we have a beach cleanup and we have that like place, like maybe like a big like group me or like something where we can just get all that information out to presidents, we could potentially go from having like a beach cleanup between like 3 clubs that would have like, a couple members, to having that beach cleanup be expanded to like, across all the clubs and however many people can show up. So the beach cleanup was just one thing that we talked about, but basically just having that bigger outreach and making those bigger projects for presidents across clubs to work together on.
Incredible. So they will all be back here in the next 45 seconds. So any final thoughts we have, and we can share out together. But thank you so much for sharing those. These are really great ideas. I hope they all can be implemented to the best as possible given all the COVID stuff going on. But this is really great.
Hey, Bob Kelly, would you mind real quick, how difficult would it be to go back and find some of the interactors from last year, invite them to RILA this year?
Since I have a record of the ones that we had approved at that time, would not be a problem.
Okay, so that may be a possibility, Annalisa. So we'll look into that and we'll look at the other clubs as well.
Excellent. You guys are so on time. I love how quick we've been. Well, thank you all for being here for this first little session. I'm excited to hear the other breakout rooms' perspectives and their thoughts. They are all, as you see, coming back right now, all filtering in. But this was excellent. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ben.
Absolutely. Well, welcome back, breakout room 1. I hope your 20-minute session was as productive as ours. I'd love to hear what you all discussed, your great ideas, and we'll happily have Annalisa, who is our reporter, share out as well. But thank you all so much. You're going to have to physically unmute yourself just because when you leave a breakout room, it auto mutes you, but otherwise, welcome back.
Somehow I got lost.
No, you're back. You're in the right place. Welcome back.
Well, I don't have a picture. I'm going to go out and come back in.
Okay, I mean, we can see and hear you totally fine. That's fine. If someone else from that breakout room would like to share while Lane fixes his.
Dan has got the notes and can kind of share. We only got through the first question and just started on the second.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share. I mean, I think mainly a lot of the discussion was around, what, districts have done in the past, but, how we're looking forward, with the new technology with Zoom and how we can, really elevate our game and connecting the interactors, and Rotaractors, with clubs and district. And, I think some of the, the really good insights that came out were not just a lot of the ways that, projects they've done in the past, but it's about how we have to shift, how we're viewing interactive Rotaractors and turn the model upside down where we're there to help serve them. And as Jurita had mentioned in our past session, they are leaders, they're leaders just like we are, and to treat them as leaders and, to really look for them, their ideas and what they see is important in our communities and the impact that they want to make versus us telling them these are things we're doing and, would you like to participate? It's really looking at having them help us craft what they want to be doing. And, I think the other thing is how important it is to look at ways, to help facilitate, bringing them all together, how to make it easier to bring them all together. I think that's been some of the challenges, you're dealing with different school districts, have different rules, different types of advisors, and how do we make it easier for them all to come together?
Ben, who is your recorder?
Annalisa was. You would like to share, Annalisa? Go for it.
Good to see you.
So we talked about a lot of things. We basically talked about how we can keep that progression of Interact to Rotaract to Rotary going with all of the students. And a lot of the things that we talked about was communication between all of them. And another thing we talked about was basically what you guys said, just facilitating that connection and getting more information out there and looking more at what Interact and Rotaract are also doing. So we had very similar ideas as you guys.
Okay. Any sharing? We didn't get to the second question. Somebody from group 2, tell us what kind of ideas you had, or we talked a little about what 5170 is doing, which is the one that has more interactors than Rotarians. But some of the other districts that are represented here, what are you doing to bring those kids together in one place as a district? How do you train them? Anybody like to unmute? Well, the other thing that we were doing on a regular basis is September used to be Youth Month. And so in September, we would bring all the youth chairs or the Interact chairs together at the district. We call them president's meetings because they all come together in one place. We'd have a special speaker that related to the youth. And then we would have not only the Interacts there, but we'd have the Rotaract chair there, the Youth Exchange chair, and the RILA chair, all kind of talk about what kind of youth programs we can do for the clubs to support the clubs as they worked with their Interacts. And then we also mentioned, for those that weren't in my group, is the opportunity to bring together on a quarterly basis all the Interact presidents, which is why I brought that topic up. And they would come together, not only the Interact kids that were the presidents, but also sometimes more of their team their advisor from the school and the advisor from the Rotary Club itself. And you would get a mix of all three that would come into one room and do some planning together on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. And that's the kind of thing that I was trying to find out from the districts who did that just before the COVID. And if you did it a different way, that we could do it at a camp or an aquarium like we did, or our sea base and go out on the boats, hosted by one of our Rotarians for the kids. What kind of ideas do you guys bring together where you bring these kids together to do their own training and let their youth governor kind of put together a program for the interacts in your district? Any other district other than
Lane? Just real quick along that idea, we heard somebody said they ran like a mini RILA, and that was something we actually wanted to try. We tried to do a year ago, which I think is a great idea, to do like little mini RILAs. We were teaming up with the Explorers to put on like a training skills day here. They ended up having to cancel. I can't remember the exact reason. They had an issue with the camp, but I think that's a great idea. We would try to put on mini RILAs because not all the kids are going to get to participate in RILA. So that's just a cool idea.
One of the things that Mike Darnold, who's doing the RILA facilitation of one of the programs, he brings them down to the beach afterwards to about a month after RILA and brings them all together. And then we've also done it at camp where all the Interact presidents come, and there's a session today on awards where they would give out the Interact Club of the Year, the Interact Youth of the Year, and they would actually introduce, because it was in May, who was coming in as the next youth Interact governor, the next Rotaract governor, so that they could all be together. And even RILA students were there, and the youth exchange students were there. All the youth programs were there together at the camp and had fun together in the district, and also did their awards and talked about the leadership opportunities coming up for the next year. So are any districts doing that other than 5170 and us that did that before the COVID? That's the whole idea of a youth services chair for a district, which most of our 30 districts have, coordinating the different programs that you're seeing today, as well as Rotaract at the time. And Rotaract, if you still go to RI website, it still says Rotaract is one of the components of the youth program support. So who would like to add something for this? How much time do we have left, Martin?
Yeah.
Or Ben?
5 minutes. 5 minutes. We ended the 20, so 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Other thoughts?
Annalisa, you want to share with the group, since they came back, what we talked about as far as maybe bringing the students in 10th grade?
Yeah, sure. So for something we talked about here was starting RILA a little bit earlier. So we talked about how starting RILA in 10th grade as opposed to 11th grade would give the students a better opportunity to develop their leadership skills and take what they learned back to their clubs for 2 more years, as opposed to doing RILA at the end of 11th grade and then they only have 1 year left as Interact. So giving them this time to start earlier would help them learn more and make better connections, as well as work more on all of their skills before they go off to college and like participate in Rotaract and Rotary. So we thought that would be a good idea to start RILA a little bit earlier.
Any other ideas of how you and your district have involved your district staff, from some of the governors coming in, how you're planning to involve your staff in working with the interacts of your district? Danielle, we haven't heard from you yet.
Is it possible for me to ask a question?
Sure.
This is Diane O'Neill with Rotary Club of Rancho Cucamonga in California. I love the idea of having you know, the interactors and the rotaractors be like mini governors, if you will. We tried it in our district, but it's so big, you know, we couldn't get all that participation. So is the magic to trying to have the interactors and rotaractors be district governors, if you will, is to divide up the district?
Absolutely. That's what 5170 does. That's what we did. You have assistant governors. And each assistant governor, I was just talking to the gal in Wales, who was supposed to be our assistant today for this class, and she has separate Zoom for her assistant governors to work with their 10 clubs. We can do the same thing with our interacts, where one of the youth gets together with the presidents of those 10 clubs and does a Zoom program with them, independent of Annalise as the governor for the whole district. Where they could plan their own activity for those 10 clubs of interacts rather than involving the whole district. And that's still better if you can do a multiple interact event than a district event.
Okay,
so, yes, assistant governors, and it's all laid out. I can share that, and I know Dan has it that he can send, that I've sent to him, how we have laid out the entire district and broken it out geographically by assistant governors.
Oh, that would be very helpful for us.
And what the youth governor does. So if you can leave your email on the chat, anybody that would like that information on how a youth structure works with a youth governor and assistant governors and their separate meetings and what they accomplish with their quarterly meetings, put your email on the chat, and Dan or Ben, Dan has it. Ben will be able to have Dan send it to you, the entire PowerPoint on what the youth governor put together.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions before I think we're almost done, right, Ben?
I'd like to jump in here real quick. We've been discussing how we've done things pre-COVID, and now we're in COVID. And then how are we going to do things after COVID, which, you know, we may be planning things, but nobody really knows. And I think I'd like to take a direction. I sort of see being able to incorporate some of the stuff we've done during COVID for after COVID, because our district has the same problem as Diane O'Neill has, in that there's a lot of distance between the different clubs in our district, and to be able to do more Zoom and getting together in person when we can, which would be delightful again. But I think we've got a new normal that is going to be with us.
Okay, well, that's what our task force is all about. So if you've got ideas, send them to Chris Miller, who is our chair, and I'll have him put his email on the chat, or Ben can give you his information, and we can feed that into the task force that's working not only with Jarita, but with Vicky, who is going to be taking Jarita's place in a year. As we move forward, it's going to be kind of a hybrid situation in Rotary, as we know. I think we're going to keep a lot of the COVID things with the Zoom opportunities for clubs and for interacts, but there's going to be the in-person too, as we get a chance for Annalise and her groups to get together in person. But I think the Zooms by district or by assistant governor are what's going to continue as we move forward out of the COVID. So the task force is looking at that, and we'll be so any questions, or put your emails or ideas in there. Ben is recording this, and we'll feed that to the youth task force that's looking forward as to how we bring all the youth programs out of the COVID and into in-person.
And that's a great place to wrap up. Thank you so much for that, Lane. We are starting the next session in 3 minutes. I just put the link for all of the session 2 sessions in the chat right now. They'll start promptly in 3 minutes. So if you are not staying in track 1, please make sure to click that link and hop. Yes, you will get access to all the recorded sessions afterwards. All 27 breakouts are being recorded, so you will get them all. Anyways, thank you all for being here for session 1. I hope you've had a wonderful, engaging time and enjoy session 2. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all.